Exhaust. God, that was the word. Dude, and I just said it too. I just said the word exhaust.
You also said cattywampus.
One sentence before that. Huh?
You also said cattywampus.
I did, because that's what it looks like in that fish tank case. Is the fans are cattywampus, and I'm not used to it. There's so much space in there.
Yeah. I'm looking at mine. I'm like, there's so much more room in this one compared to when I had it in yours.
Well, that little case was tiny. And the minute that you throw a modern video card in there, that's it. It's game over.
That super tall black one?
Yeah. Well, no, not the one that's under my desk. The one the one that I let you borrow.
Oh.
So you're going to give what you just said a mulligan?
A mulligan? That word, it changed since last week. Now it's mulligan. It's part beef. I give it a mulligan. Yeah, it's exhaust. If I say the word 7 or 8 times, then maybe
exhausted.
I'll exhaust it. Oh God. It's taken so long to port all of the programs and shit over. I can't do a direct transfer of the C drive because I'm changing architectures between Intel and AMD.
So what makes that? I mean, I don't know anything about computers. So what makes it different?
Any kind of software registry entries that have anything to do with the Intel processing core architecture isn't going to work when you port all that stuff over to an AMD.
It's kind of like machine. Your brain, AJ, and Bo's brain. You both
if you tried to transplant
high levels,
them,
but they don't work with each other.
It's actually, that is the perfect segue. That was perfect. I'm not even ready yet, I don't think. Yeah.
Welcome to the Rhythm Pyro Podcast, where Posey, AJ, and Jamie ignite your passion for pyromusical show design while testing the very limits of your capacity for stupid.
Welcome back to the Rhythm Pyro Podcast. Delighting that you're still here. I'm Bo. That's AJ.
Hola.
That's Jamie.
Exhausted.
We're hobbyists and semi-professional pyro show designers, and the RPP is a place where we can get together, talk shop, fireworks, art, and share some tips, tricks, news, and show design insights with you. Go join the Discord community, and people will share all that kinds of stuff with you. Share us around your social circles, and go check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere else. We don't Snapchat though.
Do we TikTok?
Kinda. I just take all that shit and I post it on my personal TikTok. I should probably make one for the podcast, but I think the 90% of the stuff on my TikTok is rhythm stuff anyway. So, monster thank you to all the Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/Rhythm Pyro. Come support the shit show. Thank you to both of our sponsors this week, Cobra Firing Systems and Muxboard.
Cobra wants to give a huge shout out to Rhythm Pyro for keeping the fireworks passion alive and proving that sleep is optional when you're chasing the perfect show. They're proud to support the show and, more importantly, the incredible pyro community, the only group of people who think too many fireworks is, well, a made-up concept. Massive thanks to Scott and the Cobra team for their support and for giving us a way to light up the sky without having to sprint away like a movie action hero. Go check them out at cobrafiringsystems.com.
Your firing system is obviously a big investment, so why not make it your own? Go ahead and customize it, make it mega manly, make it Muxboard. CJ Jerzak over at Muxboard is a circuit board designer and experienced industry pyro, offering breakout boards, slats, and accessories for a variety of firing systems meant to improve your workflow on and off the field. Muxboard's got you covered. Go visit Muxboard, MUUXBRD.com. Thank you, CJ, for supporting this week's episode.
Yep, thanks, brother. Can't wait to get one of your new Oh, I don't know if we can say it yet, can we? I'm FOMOing.
Dude, I swear to God, if you have a tick, that is it. If you have a tick, that is it. You can always know when AJ's going to talk about something that he's not supposed to talk about because he's going to be like,
I meant to say
can't wait to see your, there's the two clicks and then there's I can talk about it.
We can't really talk about it though.
I didn't think about it. I was like, maybe he doesn't want anybody to know about it yet.
Oh God! I
spoke before I
thought. Who, you?
Never.
Yeah, we all have our isms, I suppose. Today we are marching lockstep into the pyro world of human resources as far as the shoot side is concerned. There's 10 billion things that could potentially go wrong on a shoot site. And one of those things, and I'm not one of them. One of those things that's a pretty big deal is crew duty delegation. I want to thank Brandon Williams, who actually offered up this topic this week. And this is a really interesting topic, and one that really gets into it. It's process oriented, but at the same time, it's very much a skill set that as a lead shooter or a shoot site administrator that you really do need to try to develop in your own personal pyro journey.
Yeah, I was waiting. I thought you missed your opportunity there.
It's in the job description. I mean, it's literally in the name. A lead shooter's job is to do a lot of things, and I think it's really easy for us to get caught up in things like designing the show and doing so much of this creative stuff that when it comes time to put on a different hat and then go to the shoot site and make that shootable and then coordinate with the entirety of your crew, the job takes on, it almost does a complete 180 because you really do have to switch your brain into a totally different mode. So I guess let's attack this from just a process perspective. How would you say you begin to tie in your crew when it comes to delegating tasks?
Finding out who's coming first.
Yeah, that's a good one. So,
once the crew's finalized, I think that's the biggest one because you can't do nothing until it's for sure's are showing up.
Yeah. How do you develop your pool? Every lead shooter has prospects. There's a pool of shooters or technicians in everybody's network, and obviously, the network is a big piece of that, but, developing that over time, I'm sure and I don't say this to sound weird or anything, but I'm sure we all know people who were like, oh, okay. I mean, maybe we won't invite them.
Wow. I heard that, Jamie.
Wait, what? I said that so lightly. It was under his breath.
Yeah. You'll turn the volume up on that one later, I'm sure. I don't know. I think for all three of us, though, really, I mean, any show we've shot, all three of us, we have such a close pyro family. It's always been the same people. So we know everybody's strengths. So it's really hard, I guess. It's almost like you have to think back of all the people that you had come out once only and think about how you actually delegated them to do something.
Right.
Because all the rest of our friends that we have, I mean, we trust all of them to do, or we know they know what to do kind of thing. I guess it's more like what you're saying is delegating who's going to do what and what strengths they are without hurting their feelings. Like Jamie gets butthurt all the time for 62s.
Oh!
Whiner.
Hey, you're the one that told us to find something to give you shit over.
That's fine.
Be careful what you wish for.
I'll sweat off my back.
I mean, you have to
usually, hey, what are you doing on the 9th?
Yeah, you busy?
On the 9th?
On the 9th?
What are you doing on the 4th?
I think as hobbyists, there's a distinctive difference between the guys or girls that put a crew together that consists of, one person, because I'm sure we've all been there at some point in our journey. If we rewind years and years and years ago, before we really had a network of like-minded pyros, there's the one guy that shows up that's your right-hand man every year, but that's the only show that he does. And then there's Uncle Dave, Aunt Sarah, and
hey guys,
4 or 5 other people. Yeah, right. Like, the neighbor that comes over and just kind of like, rubs on his belly button
with
and
a beer.
Yeah, right. Hey, you need some help. Expanding that network, right? Like that's obviously step one in the super important things that you can do, right? And you going and joining club scenes, and without going down the whole where to find like-minded people, because the chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, then you already know where to find like-minded pyros to begin with. But I think in exploring that network and exploring the different personalities that you kind of surround yourself with, you not only take on other people's tendencies and workflows. Like, we all learn from each other, because it's this big circle of, I just saw what AJ did, and I think that's hella efficient. So like, I'm going to change things and start doing things that way. Like, I'll try that sometime and then see how it fits into my application on the shoot site. And then from that point, like you said, AJ, you kind of develop a network, and it's within that network that you kind of find the people that make the most sense for the shows that you're shooting.
Of course. And then those people like we're talking about now, is every one of them has a strength. I mean, it's, what their strengths are. What their, well, now I know that Jamie never wants to do 62s again. I'll never stick him on 62s ever again. But,
I think for the sake of single shots, for the sake of a good time for me, you should do that.
I'll wait till the next show where I got like 500 of them or something.
It's enough to make it worth it.
I don't want to become complacent, buddy. I don't want to do the same thing every time.
You did single shots last time.
Surely F3 can't be your fault. That's a front position. There's no 6. Everybody knows there's no 62s at the front position.
All right. There's no 30-62-1. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess kind of going back on what you were saying with like hobbyists and people starting off too, if you have that neighbor that stops over or someone that wants to help, it is kind of, I guess, if it's in the middle of the chaos, the day of, that might be a little hard. I don't know what I guess I do, because I have been in that situation where people are like, kind of help. And I've always stuck them on things to see how they react first. Like if they can, it sounds so bad, listen to commands, like what to do exactly. Like if I say, hey, go grab that board and place it right here. And when you're done, grab, this cable or, whatever else I'm pointing out and put it back here. And once you're done, come back and let me know, and I'll give you something else to do, just to see how they flow. And if they're able to, comprehend just those quick bursts of information, then I understand they can, they
They're
can
not
listen.
stupid.
Then you tell them to stop by the scooter so you can rubber stamp their hand, follows directions. Gets a big neon stamp, follows directions.
You get a thucker.
Yeah, right. All right, here we go. On this shoot side, we got the shirts and the skins. Skins, you're with me.
That's
funny.
That's how the situation was going down in Atalissa when people were like, hey, you need help. And it's like, I guess big too is the biggest thing is getting the boards and everything laid out, just like all of our shows, getting that stuff out there in the field. That's the biggest help you really need. And every time in Atalissa, someone's like, oh, let's do some help. If you're going to do that and you have enough hands out there, and I've learned this from you, Bo, it's sometimes better just to take a step back and not try to be in the action, but just be more delegating out there, because it's impossible for you to delegate and run around the whole time and work at the same time without keeping eyes on everybody that may not know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of that trusting process, really kind of not so much vetting, but really having a solid understanding of exactly what you said earlier, what people are good at, what people excel at, because I think that's always what makes good managers and good leaders in life, period. I think to a degree, everybody understands what needs to happen, but on a shoot site, depending on the complexity of the shoot site, there's always a process the train goes from origin to destination. And if a bunch of stuff happens out of order, or there's just too much chaos in the way that things go, you can totally get inefficient in the way that things are done. And that can cause complexities and issues itself. Like at PGI, you did a really good job delegating the 1-3, the display stuff, to the guys who were intimately familiar with that product and with all of the equipment that came along with it. That's a super, super smart move to do. Looking at the entirety of the team and understanding what people do well.
Yeah, correct. Totally. But I guess I was taking it more on like what you said, where it's not your normal crew. Because I think that's the hardest part. Like trying to get people to help you, especially if they're pyros you have talked to but never shot with or know how they work or anything like that. That would be I'm trying to think how I would handle that the most. I guess unless I had more people there to team up with. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. Partnering that person with somebody that you know understands the job that's at the task that's at hand, pairing that person with a helper that they can be guided and you don't have to sit there and be worrying about it the entire time. And it takes the load off the person you delegated that particular task to in those type of situations.
See, that's why I left Amber with you doing the 62s.
Exactly.
It's the dream team right there, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You've done plenty of shows, I guess, Bo, with more like crew members that aren't norm.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you delegate that?
Well, I mean, and it's, I think every pyro has that.
Dictate is what you meant to say.
I think being really clear in the definitions and the asks that you have of people and really trying to compartmentalize the task that you're giving somebody, that's a really big deal. And obviously you want to make sure that the people that are new to the shoot site or they're new to the task. I mean, obviously you're dealing with fireworks and explosives. You want to make sure that everybody's safe in the way that they do things, period. Right. So that's always, I think all of us deal with that hesitation up front. At least that's the reservation that I had initially was, I mean, like we're doing fireworks and, 85% of the crew doesn't do fireworks. I mean, they're weekend warriors, which is to say they're once a year warriors for a particular show. It's not quite like when you take a full-fledged crew like you had at PGI or I had at NFA a couple of occasions, and you go there and inherently you can give people these tasks and then feel like you can somewhat disconnect from them and walk away.
Jamie, I need all these racks loaded by the end of the night. I'll be back.
Yeah. But what do you want me to do today? Well, we got to do one shots. And that's it, right? I mean, when Jamie came to the lake, for example, and you came to the lake, it's very nice. It's almost a luxury when you can just go, hey, we got to do single shots. Here's my schedule is I want to be done with single shots by this day. Like I'd like to be here so we can move on to the next task. And not having to revisit that is obviously a luxury because you guys know that process. There's always a degree of training or refamiliarization with people that only do it once a year because they have to come back or try to reacclimate to something they haven't done in 360 days. And that's tough.
That's an important thing you said right there is letting everybody know what the small in between the end goal. This is the goal by 1. This is the goal by end of day. This is what we're all working to as a whole. We need to get single shots done. We need to get rack set. We need to get whatever the task is. This is the deadline. We're all working to do this together. So everybody knows the end goal is to do this. Now, how do we do it? And then that starts getting broken up into multiple tasks.
Mm.
But everybody knows it's not in the trailer hanging on the wall. Everybody knows what the goal is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. You need a map. Just send the drone up, or just look over there. There's the field. Take a good look.
It's in the truck.
It's in the truck. If you would have asked me, I'd have told you it's in the truck.
Ask me again, I'll tell you the same.
Jamie, you said something pretty interesting there, and I guess this is a good way to get a little deeper into this topic, designating the different tasks. So say you've identified the strengths of all of the people on your team, AJ or Jamie, both in anyone. This question's for either of you.
Let's just take single shots, for example. What does it mean to have single shots done? Well, they got to be separated into their positions. If they're not labeled, they got to be labeled. They got to be matched. The racks got to be set. They got to be punched down. They got to be put in the racks and ready to be taken out in the field. So you break up each one of those tasks and create a chain and just a conveyor belt. Everybody's doing their thing. Everybody knows what the task is. And we're all going for all 31 single shot racks need to be loaded, filled, and ready to be dropped in the field tomorrow morning.
And I think doing it that way totally simplifies that process, because if you have less experienced folks on that assembly line, because traditionally all of that assembly line is happening in the same, call it, I don't know, whatever space, it's not really all over the place. You've got checks and balances because you have experienced people.
Huge.
Yeah, you have experienced people mixed in with maybe not so experienced people or people that are learning. But at the same time, the act of taking something that's so complex, that has so many different layers, like you said, labeling, like separating, labeling, matching, rack setting, and essentially dropping in the landing. If you take all of those tasks and then just break them out into tiny little subtasks, one, it makes the entire process more efficient, but it makes it so much easier for somebody to learn that process. Because once you do 500 labels, once you get past your first
muscle memory,
I put the wrong label on that one. Got it. Once you do that once or twice, you'll hopefully never do it again. But you
got the whole assembly line telling you how you up.
Who did this?
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going with.
Did this rack?
That's exactly who I'm going for. But it's more on thinking of like the little things that you would think maybe wouldn't be a big deal. Like where Jim was out there at PGI delivering all those racks. Like you may think, oh, he's just taking the racks and putting them in the field where they go. Well, that's just as important, because if you're sending someone out there and they're just like, oh, here, and not paying attention or know how the field is laid out or understand
how you got 5 different people doing it different.
Yeah. Well, there you get stuff that's like at F3 and it's supposed to be at F9, and like that can cause chaos on its own. But that's actually an extremely important job that you want someone that's, smart.
Yeah. Yep.
And like you said, and he's also a double checker. Who did this?
Who did this? Who did this rack?
Every time I heard that, I'm like, oh, it's probably me. Damn it.
No, the third time he said, who did this? I got anxiety from across the camp. It's like, all right, I want a different job now.
Whose name's on the paper?
Yeah. At what point did Bo stop writing his name on the paper?
After you said who did this 3 times.
So do you guys tend to have, when you have those real big crews, will you designate section leads? Will you designate position leads to a particular sub crew to go out and do like your, like the 1-3 guys at PGI? We saw them very seldomly. I don't think we really went back there, and I never saw them all that much, period. Like we just kind of convened at the end of the setup, like, hey, what's up? You guys been doing okay? Great.
Yeah, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, what's up,
Sitting
man?
in the shade? What's taking you guys so long?
Yeah, right.
I mean, similar to that, I tried my best to do that, but then the day that we started setting all the single shots and all that stuff up, it just kind of, I think that was more my fault of not getting with Nathan and saying, hey, like, here's an idea of what I have. And like the couple times I was taking off and helping the 1-3 crew get ready and like setting them up with the more information of what they needed, it was just like a free for all over there. Everyone was just grabbing stuff and starting putting stuff together. So what idea I did have just kind of went out the window, and I was like, all right, well, we'll go for this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but I mean, like Chad and Doug, for example, being on those positions, like you had two tried and true homies that you could just, you're like, I know that these guys, one, if they have any questions on clarity, like Chad is not an individual. Like if there's something that's unclear, you will know about it. like I need you to bring some clarity to this because it doesn't make any sense. Please let me know what this means.
Like today too. Is it today yet?
Is it today yet?
Jamie.
You get Jim and Chad on you, you're in trouble.
I had Amber with him. I had Mrs. Shoot Sight Caesar there with him. So, yeah, I mean, I know where we're going with this whole thing, and I'm trying to like really go back to like the early days where I had people that were so new. But when it's a smaller crew, it's so much easier to delegate that stuff because you're not running around across,
go to your
8 people.
Original
it's only 3 or 4. It's so. Oh yeah, original Skywars though. I mean, everybody there.
That was pretty hectic.
It was, but everyone there, like I trusted, and it wasn't as big of a crew as it was in 23.
Developing that method to the process and how it needs to progress over the time that you have to set the show up, like that's probably where a lot of the importance lay, right? Is you want the people that are in charge of, they have different key duties. Those are the people that are constantly coming back to you going, okay, like the last task that you gave us, cool, we knocked that out. You have the technology crew, you have the guys that are focusing on more product related stuff, just that sub categorization of those things. I think would you guys agree that that's how we tend to work and how we tend to assign and like go back to that whole skill set? It's all skill set oriented, and you want to work to people's strengths, especially on those big competition shows. If it's something smaller, like if I'm doing a lake or something and there's new people that want to come out and help, I'm totally like, I love that kind of stuff. Like the stuff that is the things that make you nervous, or if you're competing and then at some place like Skywars where you get a lot of
help. Who are you?
Exactly. Right. You get people that just come over and they're like, hey, if the 5th or 6th time that they ask, like I'm the kind of person that like, I feel bad because I do want people to get the experience with pyro, period. I mean, they're there, they're hungry to do something. And there's probably nothing that would like make their time more enjoyable at that event, other than obviously watching the shows at the end of the weekend, than saying, yeah, this is really cool. I got to go out on the field and I got to do something. It's a special experience that lives with them. And, I don't want to be the dude that denies them.
Yeah, because in your head, you're like, oh, like any other show? Sure.
Right?
You know what I really need?
That's what the last 5 people told me.
I am so thirsty. There's a cooler right over there. I'm just kidding. I'm just having fun.
Hey, yeah, this is Scott.
Do you know how to make Tito's?
He's shooting the show behind me. He would love to have you.
That's where AJ says, all right, you see that guy right there? Keep an eye on him. Just make sure he doesn't mess anything up.
By the way, I think
don't let him see you follow you.
Don't let you see him follow. Is that what you said?
Yeah, don't let him see you follow you around. It was like when Nate was helping me with the board, and he was plugging in a match to let the labels, and my labels were those fluorescent green labels on the board. And he's about 15 in, and he's like reading the labels like 3 or 4 different times. And I was like, no, that's actually this. He's like, yeah, that's what I meant. He's like, I'm colorblind. I can't hardly see these labels. As soon as he said that, I'm like, and now I'm watching everything that you're doing.
There's another one.
I'm like, wait, what?
We should start a bowling league.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Nate, step back away from the board.
Oh, God. We just make you guys handicap shirts for CobraCon. It's just like gray with like a handicap guy in a wheelchair in it, but it's also gray. And then we just tell you that there's a guy in a wheelchair on the front of it.
We'll just write the wrong color on the shirt.
Yeah, a little dotted shirt.
Yeah.
I swear that's what it is.
Nate's shirt says I'm with red, point at AJ's green shirt, and green shirt. AJ's shirt says I'm with green, point at the red shirt.
Oh God. Yeah, the first time that we did those colorblind tests, man, I had a heyday with that. It's like I took it and I was got like, 14 out of 15 or whatever, and I handed the phone to AJ. I'm like, all right, now you do it. Failed it. It was so bad. It was 2 out of 15 or something. 6 in, he's like, I can't see any of this shit, man. Like, you can't see anything. So then we go back one by one. All right, well, what is this? You telling me you can't see that? Look at that dot right there. Just focus on it. Focus on it. Focus on it. Can't see that? Really? Okay. Next one.
It'd be really bad. Someone ever kidnapped me and they're like, you have to see this or I'm going to die. I'm sorry, man. You're fucked.
Did you ever have that problem when the kids came home from school when they did coloring at kindergarten? Hey, Dad, look what I colored.
Anything with color, with chasing, actually with anything, Amber has to deal with it, especially with chasing because he's colorblind too.
No, jeez.
Chasing, your father loves it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So you brought up something earlier. You said like there's the technology crew. That was really a big thing. Like I left you and Derek up to that because I knew you guys knew, the Cobra and electronic side more than anything than the rest of the guys. At least that's how I feel your guys' strengths to everyone else had. Like those were something I know I could leave you alone with because you have that knowledge.
Yeah. And
that's good to have, especially if you're, you have like multiple remotes going on too. You can put one guy on one and one on the other. Yeah.
Right. Well, and then it simplifies, like simplifying those tasks, especially on those mega fields, right? Because you constantly
mega fields. That's
a mega field,
like
baby. You want to keep you're that guy at the circus that has 15 dowel rods and he's got a plate spinning on every single dowel rod. I mean, that's an over exaggeration of the metaphor. Is essentially you on a shoot site where you're a lead shooter, you're the lead administration guy, and you're coordinating the entire crew on those big shows. Even on smaller shows to a degree, you're still doing the same thing, but being a good leader on top of showing people how to do things and then communicating it effectively and then working to kind of train them toward whatever that goal is, you learn the person. And learning the person is extremely important when it comes to understanding maybe a year into that relationship, if that's a trustworthy stagehand to help you get your show off the ground.
For some reason, when you were talking there, I was thinking all the time, like, we should start a pyro school.
A pyro school.
What's your strengths? What's your weaknesses? What would you like to work on?
Yeah, the Pyro Academy. The Rhythm Pyro Academy.
10-week course.
It's not a bad
Cost
idea.
you $5,000.
Yeah.
Includes fireworks, a poke, paperwork, safety glasses.
What do you get? You get a certificate.
Yeah.
It's got pyro.
Certified by the Rhythm
You're
Pyro
certified.
Podcast.
Yeah, right.
Fail.
Yeah. And then you try to take that and get it turned in as like a ProLine certificate or something. Marcus is like, this shit isn't worth the paper it's written on. What they sell you?
$10,000. Good Lord.
Oh my God.
But I got a sticker.
So like, other than technology and then obviously single shots, what other subcategories of sub lead, I guess, exist on your fields?
Rack layouts.
Yeah.
Or setups. Yeah. I mean, that's huge, especially the way, I think you're doing it now too, Bo, where we just do the numbering system where, Q1's in the front left and Q6 is in the back, and it's just like back and forth, back and forth. If you're doing it like that, you don't even have to label your racks. You just have to know whoever's setting it up is doing it correctly. That was the one thing that me and Nathan didn't communicate on, where he set a few racks differently. Mm-hmm. And remember, you caught the rack out there that had the outer row was backwards. It was just 6 was in the back or in the front, and vice versa kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's those kind of things where I didn't double check to make sure that he was doing it how I normally do it. It's that lack of communication we had, but that's important too, because if you get into that rhythm, they just start flying.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's a perfect example of like all of us have to step back. And I think after so many years of doing it, God, what's your favorite funny word, Jamie?
What does it even mean?
What's the word? AJ,
complacency.
Complacent. That's it. Yeah. Complacency. You don't want to get complacent as a lead and think that, all of the people, because all the people that you've invited to your site, they can do the job. Right. But there's just all these little nuances of things that might not be that you're totally jiving with everybody on your crew over. And it's not for better or worse or anything like that. It's just finding that harmonious middle ground, right? Because you may have a process, and then you go to somebody else's shoot site, and then that process may be done a little bit differently. Like there's always differences as to the entire process, macro and micro, as you go through things, and then trying to figure the new stuff out. Being that perfect lead, I think, is just it's a culmination of solid communication and, sitting down and just like really spending an evening thinking to yourself, okay, what are the little things that I take for granted every single time I go to a site, and who might need to know this stuff? And then, work out a process where, I don't know, maybe, I for Sky Wars back in 2020, I tried to write as much stuff down as I could. And, for the people like in OPAG that hadn't shot as many pyromusicals, I wanted to make sure that the finale labels made sense for them, for example, because I knew that there were several people that were coming to the show that really had never seen a label, and everybody in my workflows and like plans and stuff, they were going to be doing some degree of that. And this was especially the case back in 2014 at the NFA, because while the process may not be new to us, it's probably new to somebody. And I think some of us are more apt to say out loud, hey, I don't understand. And then there's people that aren't so much open to say, hey, I don't understand.
Yeah, which are usually the ones that are like, I don't want them to know that I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, this, like the smile and nod. There's the smile and nod kind, and then there's the, oh, well, I don't get that. So, but I know what this means on my shoot site, so maybe I'll just do it my way. But then, if I did it that way, and I went to one of your shoot sites, and you guys had a workflow and a process where doing that right away threw a monkey wrench into the way that things flowed and the plan that was already laid out, then that can be a problem too. You can totally run into that stuff. So, I mean, communication is huge. It's such a big part of that. And I don't think there is such a thing as over communication.
How would you feel? And I'm just curious about this, because it's something, if any big show coming up, say like PGI or Sky Wars, any of the big ones we've done. If or anybody that's shooting the show, the lead just walked to him and said, all right, Bo, here. And he hands you a piece of paper and he gave you every task that he wants you to complete. Like this is your job. Like he handed it to you. Would you feel like, okay, I'll do this? Or would you look at it and be like, and no matter what, how good or how bad it is of the stuff, how would you feel about that?
I think the first thing
every year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all work on like this is like that's a really good question. I mean, when you guys came to the lake, I had printouts of a lot of the positions. I think I kind of stopped doing it around that time because I realized I'm like, this is like, if I have AJ and Jamie coming to this, I don't even need to do it, right? Because it's like we can just we'll pull it up on the computers and we'll be fine. But like getting a printout with everything that you need to accomplish, like if everything is in that site plan, I think maybe up front.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that stuff too, because it's almost like if you have the experience, the basic experience and the foundation, and you understand every one of these tasks at a micro level, then if you're given that task, say you say, okay, I want you to go down the line and, you have Cobra module allocation for all of these. And I gave a look to it, but if it only said, this is totally hypothetical, if it only said Cobra module allocation, and then, you gave me a side-by-side full of Cobra modules, my first question would be something along the lines built from experience that would be like, okay, well, if you only have so many of these types of modules, do you have any kind of layout plan that goes along with it? Even the best of plans in the world, they're meant to breed more questions because as the person kind of works through what's in front of them, it's developing more of an understanding, right? You're kind of creating that brain meld mesh between you and the person whose vision you're trying to bring to life. It's a
symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, you're trying to put on the shit, like it's their show and you want it to succeed. And questions, I don't think there is such a thing as a stupid question ever. Because even, if you handed me a packet and I went through that packet and I found something, I would ask you a question. And even in the act of asking you a question, you would look at that and go, yeah, here's your answer to that question. And then that gives clarity to me. But then it also gives you feedback into, that's a good question. Never thought of that
question.
Sorry, when you were saying that, instantly I thought of 2020 and Jamie asking you about.
Wait, hold on, what? Which part? Hold on, say it again. You got to tell me you can't do it. If you just leave it hanging like that, I'm not going to know.
I don't remember what it was, what I said.
All I remember, it was something.
I say a lot of things.
There was something with a rack.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there you go.
Leveling the racks.
Leveling the racks?
No,
you talking about when I yelled at Eric?
No.
It's
that was poor communication.
That wasn't a question.
It was like how to angle the rack or something, and you had an extra 22.
The angle tool.
Is that what it was?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if was it the angle tool,
because
or
he
was
had
it
he had the racks and he had 35 shot racks with 36 shot slats, and there was a missing Q on the slats, and it was blowing my mind.
Yep.
Oh God, that shit! Like I'm like. I don't understand. I mean, this is the first time I'm dealing with 35 shot racks.
I didn't know that existed, Bo.
And I'm like, and his mind is all over the place. And he's like, yeah, it's good. But there's a shot missing, but the rack's full. There's a shot missing and the rack's full. And he would be like, well, what's the paper say? 35 shots.
Do you have an, like, I think I even asked you at one point, I'm like, do you have an extra shot? And you're like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, is there something missing? But you got everything that's in there, right?
And then finally, I think the third time I asked him, I realized like, there's 35 shots.
Wait a second. It's a dumb question, though. That was the whole purpose of that.
It's not a dumb question. And then once you come to that, like you have a laugh. But I think I do remember this interaction because Jamie had come over two or three times, and he was like you could just see the distress in his face. Like There should be, I think there should be another shot here because the slat clearly has another plug. What the fuck? Can you help? And I come over and I eventually look at it. And then we just did that thing where we kind of stand there and stare at it for a second. We're looking at the paper, we're doing this. And it's like, well, hold on a second. This is the 35 shot rack.
But it was more on Jamie's face too. Cause I don't think he explained it correctly because you picked up the angle tool and put it in there first. And you're like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, no, that's not what I mean. So then the confusion started. That's when I walked up.
But to get back to what you were talking about, somebody hands you something. I mean, Chad's done it for 2 years now. It depends on the level that you set up on your show when you're having help. But, Chad will pre-set up his show and he has, his 1.4 portion and his 1.3 portion. And we have to take it out to the field, which is a nice little haul, but we put it on a flatbed and take it out there. So he will spend the entirety of the day setting up 1.3 racks, punching down 1.3, covering it for rain and all that. And he will simply hand me a shoot site map and tell me where everything is already. I mean, this will be the third year, so now I understand it. But first time he's telling me, this is how this is. Everything's labeled. This is where everything is. You have questions, let me know. Shows me the shoot site. The map shows me the length cable I need for each module.
Yeah. Yep.
It has the channel for every position. And he's even got all the modules and cables piled up in the positions throughout the barn. And my job is to take it from the barn to the flatbed, out to the shoot site, place it in the spot, set it up, level it, hook it up with the cables, the modules, make sure everything's set correctly, and do the whole thing. And he pretty much hands me his paper and forgets about me. I had to go find him and say, hey, are we eating today?
I guess I was meaning more like if it's a big crew, like not just you and him basically setting that show up. Like say at PGI, I handed all you guys your own sheet though. And then you're looking at going, but I don't want to do this. Like that's the feeling. I guess that's the hardest part for me to try to want to delegate everybody out into something without kind of waiting till the day.
You could do that along the lines of, giving people on options like, hey, would you want to do this, or this?
Well, that's what I mean. But you have to do that almost. I mean, you can go to them beforehand, but then if you offer someone first, that's why like day of, it almost puts everybody against each other at that point. It's like, all right, well, you guys tell me what you want to do.
But I think in most situations, I give you shit about Medusa today. I just do that to piss you off because it's fine.
I know that. But everybody has something they don't like doing. You know what I mean? And but I don't think
then go work on somebody else's crew.
No, I guess it's more like
for the most part, most people.
If you have, I know it's so many people though. Like if these people are there, like for instance, like everything that you guys have done for me, traveling all over the place, for you to be there to help me, I want to make sure that you're doing something you want to do. You know what I mean? It's not like
we're there again. Typically, we're there to help you. Now, if you're doing the same every time and giving them the same task every time, you probably should have asked them, "Hey, how'd you mind doing that?" And then
Jamie
next
does
time,
a bang up job on 62s.
Yeah,
you don't have to
know. But
Bailey don't have to angle.
I mean, the first time you do it, I don't think you're going to have anybody complain about it. If you do it every time, that's on you. You should have probably checked with them after the show and say, hey, or during the show, how's that going? How do you like that? And maybe change it up too, But I wouldn't have a problem giving them something.
That's what,
just check in with them.
I'm taking notes. This is how good this episode is getting to me right now. Seriously.
Cody and the Victory crew, they do this quite a bit. And I think it's the coolest thing ever. They don't, and I think they said that on their episode, like they don't want their leads getting complacent. They don't want their leads to just continually be exposed to the same thing. They want them to have new experiences. And the only way that you have new experiences is to give them new instances to experience. And I think in hobbyist pyro, that is super important. Thankfully, in this crowd and in the community, you're going to get that. You're going to get so many people that just are happy to be there. You know, I love being on site with you guys and with all of our friends. And a lot of times that's enough of an experience for me to have a great time. You know, like what we're doing is just sure, it's important to someone somewhere, but for me, it's fulfilling just because it's like, it's one, doing the hobby that I love, and two, I'm doing it with my friends.
And having fun,
like you can't
like,
beat that.
Like when you were hitting the tent pole in the ground. Get it! Hit that sucker! Little 3-pound sledge. I felt so bad.
This is good for him. That's right. That's what you're thinking. This is good for him.
No. I was like, man, look at him go at that thing. I'm never going to give him again.
That's a lot of pent-up frustration. That's what he thinks about that segue.
He's like, this is AJ. Bam, bam, bam.
Well, dude, and actually, believe it or not, that's perfect.
I thought you were saying that's exactly what I was thinking.
This is perfect for what we were talking about just now, because come to think of it, doing the wheels with you guys and like actually getting hands on with the wheels. Cause I think that was the most experience I had with helping you guys like hoist wheels and like anchor wheels. I'd never been a part of the initial anchoring process. Like I'd been part of the help hoist it because it's like it's a 40-man in a small cruise ship to try to get like, everything up when we get it up. And that's always fun. I always dug that. But like the actual process of watching you do all your measurements and, place the anchor points, place your center hinge, like all of that was new to me. I'd never been made part of that process before. So I thought it was really cool and it was a learning experience.
So you can do the wheels by yourself next time. Got it. We're making note of that.
After that show, you're gonna be like, "What? Who the?
That is true. I mean, that was something in 2020. Like I learned a ton from that one because why I did some help. Like you had me more like running around and like checking stuff constantly. That was stuff I never even thought about doing. So like that was extremely helpful, almost learning experience because I was more excited of like, never thought about that. That's a good idea. And just constantly getting fed that information.
Yeah. Well,
Amber, write that down.
And it was a different workflow too. Like even, we spent the first 2 days doing single shots on this Heart of Fire. And it was like,
hold on. The first 2 days we did nothing almost.
Finding
well,
products.
no, the first 2, yeah, right. Because we had no product to do anything with.
That's what I mean. It was,
we were talking about
when's the truck going to be here? Oh, it's on its way.
We're racing drones.
It's coming. It's fine.
Sharing hoodies.
That was fun. I still don't know where
Marcus
that hoodie
is walking in front of us while we're trying to pull the slap by. Wouldn't get out of the way.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For all these years, I thought that I still had it somewhere buried in a closet.
Nope, I got it back.
Perfect. Wow, I guess I should have asked a little more directly.
It doesn't fit me anymore. I've grown since then.
The way that we did single shots then at 2020, like I look back on, it was subcompartmentalized, but it was so subcompartmentalized that I was assigning every micro task of every single rack to one person. And now I look at the way that our process has changed and like the things that I've learned from you and like Nate and Jamie and like all of the guys that have been around to like develop this new process. And it's so much more efficient now than that was, right? Because it's like you're constantly trying to refine what makes sense and what doesn't. What is most optimal for shoot side efficiency. And it's really cool to watch things evolve over time.
Huge. And going with what, like you were just talking about, I just thought about doing something like, I think Chad actually mentioned this. So like you mentioned, I had Doug and Chad and Amber on the 1-3 crew the whole time. And there was things that Chad didn't understand, excuse me, from my layout and how I had things set up. I guess looking back on it, I could have just had a conversation with them even prior to getting there, saying, hey, what do you guys think would be the fastest setup for you that makes more sense for you? Because then I could have changed, my layout for them. Because that's pretty simple for the most part, whatever they would have liked. And that would have been just one less step to do the day of.
Yeah, totally. Like leaning on people and their skill sets, and then factoring that into the planning process to begin with. That's another great way to approach it. Lean on the experience levels of the people that are good at that stuff and just be like, yeah, hell yeah. I'm going to take that and definitely work that into the process, because that totally makes the most sense.
My favorite is just having AJ on a shoot site.
Oh, Jesus.
Just let him take over. It's great. I have to do literally nothing. I don't even have to delegate anymore at that point.
You just got to give me more stuff to do, man. Yeah, there you go. You need to make a list. Next time I show him, he's just going to have this 3-page binder.
Now, what you going to do, Jamie?
Page has a word on it.
I did have a list. AJ, everything on that trailer needs to be out there. 2.5 hours later, it was done. It was great.
Oh my God. Whatever.
Everything that's
here's
in
the
there
modules and there's the map.
That's eventually going to go up. Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm going to the house.
Let me know when we're ready to do the tower. I'll be waiting. AJ, do you need me to do anything?
Oh God.
Yeah. Let's see. What else can we hit here? I guess if I were to look at the workflow approach that we have and like the crew delegation tendencies that we have, I think an assembly line is probably a good comparison to make.
Like it is like an assembly line. I mean, because it just does make it that much faster.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you guys this: since it's basically been like that, do you get bored of what you're doing though? And would you want like the next day to switch it? And do you think that would be efficient the next day?
Sometimes.
I mean, if I personally, I don't really care. I mean, like I am probably the same mindset of Jamie. Like there's things that I like doing, and then there's things that are less than stellar, but it doesn't bother me either way. I mean, like if I was over on Medusa duty, then I'd probably give you shit too, but
no, I mean,
it's like way fun. Jamie makes up way funnier jokes than I do. So
I guess it's more of like, if there's 3 guys that can do racks that you trust and you got 2 on it, would you switch another guy out one day kind of thing? You know what I mean? You're taking away, but then that's the part I don't know if it would be efficient or not, because you're now like kind of scrambling everybody's brain and like changing the play up. It's kind of like in football when they change the play and they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, when you bring the kicker in to be quarterback for a few plays. All because the kicker wanted to throw the ball.
All right, see, you got the analogy now.
Yeah, I got it. And the answer is no, you just keep kicking. Got a great leg, man. No, and I guess it depends on the show context. If it was something that if it meant something to, but either like if it was a huge, even on Sky Wars though, like when people showed up, it was, you spend time trying to assess what they're good at. And then I don't think anybody's really ever going to tell you, nah, I don't want to do that. Yeah, at least I've not run into, not really run into too much
sometimes.
Yeah, you can read it, but like, I mean, how much do you really want to read into it, And like, and sure, everybody's there to have fun. And if they're not having fun, you'll know they're not having fun because they're going to do a piss poor job. And
they're going to tell you all about it.
Maybe either that or we'll just like walk away. Like, hey, wasn't so-and-so supposed to be, doing my gerbs? Yeah, where's he been? He's been like back in the back for the last 3 hours, chatting with suppliers. Yeah, well, he didn't like doing the fronts.
He just likes to walk around with the R2.
Yeah.
He likes to look important.
I don't know. I mean, I think if somebody really had they really took issue with something and then they said something, then I mean, sure, whatever. I'd give them something that they like to do. I guess that doesn't bother me much. But
well, just so you know, in the next big one, I just want to walk around with a Bob Barker mic, mess with the whole crew the whole time.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
How do you feel? Right? How do you feel about your job right now?
Yeah. This is being recorded. Tell Bo what you really think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't hear it till after.
That's a great way to with people. Like, and just wait until they're 45 minutes into setting up position 3 and then go up to them and say, hey, what are you doing? Well, I'm working on position 3 here. Oh yeah. Well, position 3 is 9 positions down that way.
Right. You're not where you're supposed to be. What? But that says, no, that's the other shooter. That's his position 3.
And then we can get out that classic comedy drum sound, the goom, the sound bite, when they get really wide-eyed, googly eyes, but not in a good way.
I'm really trying to think of like the one big thing we did cover, but we didn't really talk about. How do you tell someone, I don't want you doing that? That's the hard one, I think. Yeah,
I mean, well, let's face it. Like I'll admit it. I've told people that before. I try to be diplomatic in my approach to it. I mean, sometimes you get some really gung ho individuals that are like, put me in, coach. Like, give me that.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach. Give me that drill. Watch me do this. When I'm done drilling your rack, it's not even going to look like a rack anymore. It will literally look like Swiss cheese. I'm going to drill it so hard.
What are we talking about?
What does that even mean?
I am an excellent rack driller. Oh God. But you get it. I mean, there's things that people that they may not be the best at. And I think in those situations, you got to be like, I think we've all diverted. At least that's probably the pussy way that I take to it. It's like, you know what? Why don't you,
you know what I really need?
Why don't you go, Dad looks like he needs some help over there on his board. Why don't you maybe go help him?
So that's what the word is. You know what you write that down. When Bo says
2 years from now, Dad's going to get to this spot in the podcast and he's going to get pissed. Well, what's really funny though is like he's onto it though, because that person gets sent back to me a half an hour later. I said, hey, what's going on? I don't know, man. He was just looking really like intense at this board and got uncomfortable. And I'd just rather be over here.
It got intense.
It got really intense. He had this look on his face like he's cracking his safe. I didn't know what to do.
What'd he send you over for?
He wouldn't let me touch anything.
He doesn't like stuff being touched. I remember when we all went to help him. And like you could look at him like, taking my job, motherfucker, move out of the way. Like, hey, you're taking my shit. It's my job. Let me have some fun.
If you really want to mess with him, then go over to his board because he does things much like we do, right? We'll take stuff, we'll punch it, we'll put a match in it, and then, you raffle a match and then put it right on top and you just wait. You go over to his board after he's got everything matched and then pick up a match and just hold it. And then you'll just it becomes like the cat when you get the laser pointer out of the basket. Like, because it just knows. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you touching that? Give me that. And he just takes it and holds it. And then before you know it, he'll have 15 matches in his hand because you just keep going around and grabbing another match just to hold it in your hand.
Yeah, when he definitely gets to this part, let me know. And the next time we go up, we're going to do this to him. He's going to be like, it ain't funny.
He's very particular about the way that like the order and stuff that he wants a lot of that. But, he does a good job with his buddy, John. And he's like, he wants to get in there. He wants to figure out how this stuff works and he wants to be useful and help do cool new stuff. And like Dad will have him, like he knows that John's good at analyzing things. So if Dad doesn't know what cakes do, like he has John watch the YouTube videos and get all of his timings. So, you know, he does, like he delegates in a way that is a huge help in figuring out how they want to order things.
That's a good idea too. It's great things like that. Stuff you're like, hey, you know what? I need to figure this out. YouTube this for me. Go search this for me.
That's right.
Didn't even think about that.
I see you have a cell phone. Do you know how to pull up a YouTube video? Perfect. Yeah. You're hired.
Yeah, exactly.
You're hired, my dude.
What should we call that? Internet
power user.
And information finder.
We got to give it some ridiculous name. Mobile information technology specialist.
Human AI.
Human AI.
Services.
Research and development.
Human AI services. Oh, God. Oh, my mind's blown. That's a good one. Human AI services. Oh, how do you guys handle pivots with your team? You know, like say you show up at a site. What's that?
Avoid them. Jamie.
You know, if something changes with the field setup, or, you know, something isn't quite how you thought it was going to be in, you know, topology of the site itself, or when everybody starts getting their lanes worked out, that, you know, now there's a problem and you have to start troubleshooting stuff. How do you guys pull from your resource load, your people, to handle that? Because you almost have to be a part of that, right? I mean, like if it's your show and there's something big like that, you want somebody to be able to help it. But like, for instance, you know, AJ, 2020, I think while I was up at the table, I think I had you with the AHJ going around and like you were the guy talking to the AHJ while the AHJ is like,
fix that, kick that.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to distract him. Man, look at that. That's a cool ass.
Look what that guy's doing over there.
Look at that eagle. Look at that eagle.
Stop kicking that. Stop kicking that. Stop kicking that.
Yeah.
Well, this guy's kicking your stuff.
330 shots. 330. What's wrong with this guy? Move along. Move along.
Well, that slice isn't going to shoot.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's another thing to write on the list here. Delegate someone for safety checks.
Yeah.
And this is useful even for me right now.
Well, I think I'm making a list up. The PGI show was good for that. You know, like these sites, they tend to have safety folks that are ultimately going to be those checks and balances, but I think they always need somebody to talk to. Like PGI this past year, the way the PGI safety team was broken up, they just wandered, you know, all like as we got closer to showtime, maybe 3 or 4 hours out from showtime, they would literally just show up like whack-a-moles at any one position. And then they just start like, it's almost like they're hailing a taxi, right? Like they want somebody to come over from that crew and pay attention to what they're saying. And rightfully so, because like they found something that they feel needs to be changed. So
was that you,
we
Jamie?
Go and change it.
They came and told us about the one shots. Was that you? Who was that who came up to me?
There was like, when I went to the hardware store that one time, I think I went because they wanted 2 or 3 of those L brackets on every single, like they wanted more of the L brackets on the slices than whatever we had on them. So it was just extra bracing that they wanted.
Well,
and then
one
we
of
wound
them
up
was
doing it.
the howling cakes, because that was the same board that had everything straight up, the like 30-0 nomenclature thing.
Yeah.
But there was that straight up cake, and we just had them taped together. Well, she saw all the other ones in a rack kind of thing, and these were just looked like they were a bunch of one shots taped together because all you could see was the top of the tubes. But there was an actual cake. And they were like, someone came up to me and said, hey, she wants you to rack all of those single shots. And I'm like, well, we don't have any racks. I thought she was talking about the wood racks we had.
We don't have any racks. And 2, those are single shots.
So then when I walked over there to talk to her and she's like, yeah, all of these, you got to rack these. And I'm like, well, that's just 2 cakes taped together. Because they just, I guess they didn't click to them because they saw the one to the left, one to the right. But that had me freaking out.
That's
I forgot who came up to me and they're like,
we
hey,
pack a couple extra racks, but that's a lot of extra racks.
Right. I don't have that many racks.
Yeah. I mean, this is PGI. I guess if there's any place to find them, that's the place.
But still. Somebody go find Brian. How fast overnight can you ship?
Yeah.
Steph's home, right?
Yeah, it's a shame that Scott Smith doesn't sell racks. He would have shipped them next day air. Save the day. Oh, God.
Jamie.
On that note.
Yeah, I got to watch what I say. I don't want things to get litigious here.
Hold on, I gotta look at that word.
Hold on, watch it now. Yeah.
It's only 2 big words I knew tonight.
Mulligan was my favorite. Mulligan.
Complacency was my favorite.
Complacency.
There you go. We all got a word now.
F3 complacency. That'd be a funny ass shirt. Because everybody'd be like, what the fuck is his
I was just going to wear a shirt at Camera
Is that a computer thing?
F3.
Yeah, is that a computer thing? Bingo.
F3 is my favorite number.
30-3 complacency.
Yeah. You should tell people that you're a fat fighter pilot.
No, this is all from gravity.
Yeah. F3, I don't even, is that a really old plane? I don't know that one.
There probably is an F3. Hold on. I gotta look it up.
Actually, I don't know if I know what an F4 is, but I don't know if I think they do have I'm pretty sure there is an F3. I think that was
Mike's
the old
listening
Phantom.
to this episode calling us idiots.
Yeah.
The Tornado F3 jet fighter. Yep.
Yeah.
Mitsubishi F-X, unofficially called the F3.
The McDowell
Douglas.
I almost said McDonald. That's funny.
McDowell. McDowell
The McRib.
The McRib.
The F3H Demon.
I can't win with this stupid
I
thing.
got depressed there for a second.
So a lot of knowledge in here. Good luck deciphering any of it.
Just listen to it a few times.
17 times. Yeah, right.
You'll get it. Take notes.
You'll get it. A lot of car rides.
Take notes and put it in the right order.
Yeah,
exactly. Got it.
Well, I got 47 bullet points and 7, 16, 22, 25, 37, and 42 are kind of like all directionally the same thing. But there might be a nugget or so in there. All right, we got one voicemail this week.
Afternoon, guys. This is Nubby from South Carolina.
Sup?
Thank y'all so much for the podcast. It's taken me about 4 months to get caught up to y'all, and
I'm
really
sorry.
enjoy it. Learned a good bit.
That's a lot.
Learning more every day.
Good deal, man.
I started shooting in 2018, right around the COVID time, and shows gotten bigger and bigger. And first one was an hour and 10 minutes. Got complaints from the neighbors, so we toned it down a little bit. And now, after $6,000 Cobra upgrade, doing a little better. Did pyromusical last year. My music dropped off.
Oh, no.
Did some more learning. and thought I was doing okay until I watched Jamie's show on the 4x8 and realized that
I want to sell all my shit on eBay.
Go, and I'm not sure I'll ever catch up to that budget. But thanks again, guys. Y'all make this so much fun learning and listening, and gives us a good outlet. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, dude. Appreciate you. Thanks for the kind words.
Exactly. Thank you. Extremely kind
Jamie,
words.
stop turning everybody off, please.
I'm sorry.
This guy does this in a 4x8. My backyard's 450 feet wide.
Yeah. Quit.
Quit. It's like I used to watch those little young drummers that are like 10 years old, and they're like,
yeah.
And I'm like, I quit.
Little Chinese kids.
I quit.
Little Chinese kids. There was a video that I used to watch all the time because I look up was it John Petrucci exercises or something? It was a John Petrucci exercise, but it was like somebody overdubbed it and said some of the most ridiculous shit that I'd ever heard. But it just had you like pee pants laughing, because he'd be like, okay, now I'm shredding so fast that I'm doing 10 billion notes per second. I just like this dial controls how hot the sun is. And if you can't do that, then you're just sell all your stuff on eBay. It was amazing. But yeah, I can see how Jamie's show has that effect on people.
Just do the same show, just spread it out a little wider.
Yeah, just do it 3 times.
Yeah. Well, upgrades, dude. Firing system upgrades are always they're gonna make like your capabilities better. You're gonna be able to do more. And I think with every, I hate to say it that way, because what I'm not saying is like the more that you add into your show, the better your show is going to be. Because I think that we wholeheartedly don't believe that, but
it's the more you can control.
Yeah, the more you can control, and the more freedom that you have to kind of paint your picture and paint a nice, clear, cohesive picture. That's when you're set up to be dangerous, right? Because you have the tools available to you if that helps you mold the creative vision, which is like, I think that's what all of us want to do as designers. And I think even the guys that are just starting out doing this stuff in the backyard and gaining an interest and then wanting to go out and further that, it's the same kind of deal.
I like the beginning part of that where he was like, I don't know, what do you say, an hour and 15 minutes is his first show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jamie, how long was your first show?
My first one was 7 minutes.
Your first big show?
My first pyromusical.
Oh, no, I was talking about any fireworks show. You didn't do anything prior to that?
Oh, this is probably 20 minutes.
Oh. My first one's like what he said. I just had way too much stuff, but I was hand lighting it. Mm-hmm. It lasted for like over an hour. Just
around lighting when you're having fun.
Mine was just waiting for the cake to get done so I could shoot the next one. So but I was on an extreme budget. And then after that, then it was like, oh, I don't have to wait 20 seconds and 2 minutes for this cake to fire. I'm going to shoot it how I want.
Yeah.
And actually, believe it or not, it's cheaper. I don't say it's cheaper.
It can be. It can be.
Yeah. No, yes and no. Because that was a lot of stuff. But you're just condensing it, but making it more expensive because you're adding igniters into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to be honest, though, like I think
positions.
Once you start doing the pyromusical piece, the one-song pyromusicals are even edited down. It is a good way, I guess, to save money. But like if you think of it contextually next to your traditional, 1-4 cake at a time backyard show, if that's like the world that people are coming from, it is, like you said, it's a step up in how much you're spending, but it's relative to itself. So, like one year you could go ape and spend $5,000 in a one-song pyromusical, but then realize you're like, okay, I want to back it off a little bit this year because either the music doesn't call for it in spots, or I'm purposely making the decision because I don't want the music to call for it so I can save some money. You have the ability to do that. You learn what can save you money over time.
One position saves you money.
Yo, liar.
One position saves you money.
It's much cheaper than 7 positions. Trust me.
The shoot site that I shot it off was actually free, but the shoot site I built it's for the shoot site.
Built effectively built a rocket launcher into space.
A rocket launcher.
A rocket launcher out of lumber. A Trojan horse. Okay, that's it for this week. We'll see you guys here in actually probably next week, and then CobraCon. Right?
When we stop talking about it, you're gonna have to give it to me. That should be a shirt too.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. And on the back and go, what are we even talking about?
Yeah. See, right there. Perfect. I'll take the first one.
No, that's what we should do for Cobra. Give it to me. What? Cobra. Get it?
Yep. There you go.
Get it? Yeah. All right. Stop talking about it.
Stop talking
about it.
See you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Buy a spear.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot to hit record.
You're such a liar.